You know, in a world that is just screaming for our attention 24/7, we're going to talk about something that feels, well, almost radical, and that's sacred silence. We're going to dive into how we can actually carve out these little pockets of quiet in our totally chaotic lives, and maybe, just maybe, what we might hear when we finally turn down the volume.
Think about it this way. Does your daily life ever feel like you're in the front row of a rock concert and the music is just blaring nonstop? I'm talking about the notifications, the deadlines, the social media feeds. It's just a complete sensory overload, right? And right there, in the middle of all that noise, you're trying to hear something really, really quiet. You're straining to hear a whisper of guidance or just a moment of peace. And if you've ever felt that way, trust me, you are not alone. It's one of the biggest challenges of living in the world today.
Okay, so if the problem is noise, then the solution has to be stillness. But listen, we're not talking about just empty, boring silence here. Think of stillness as an active, powerful thing, almost like a spiritual superpower that lets us actually recharge and reconnect with what matters. This isn't some new idea either. It's rooted in ancient wisdom. Just look at the words here, be still. It doesn't say be busy or be more productive, does it? The whole point is that a state of being, not a state of doing, is where the real knowing happens. And here's this amazing paradox from the writer Thomas Merton. He's saying that when we step away from the world for a bit, we don't actually get more disconnected. It's the opposite. That solitude is what fills us up with the gentleness and love we need to go back into the world in a better way.
And this isn't just for monks living on a mountain somewhere. This is for all of us. I love this story from Sarah, a mom with 3 kids. She found that just taking 5 minutes of quiet in the morning completely changed her entire day. It's that classic idea, right? You have to fill your own cup before you can pour out for anybody else.
So, we get it. Stillness is powerful. But to find it, we've got to figure out what we're up against. We have to identify the noise. And it turns out it really comes in 2 main flavors.
So on one side, you have the external noise. That's the obvious stuff. The dings from our phones, the news, everyone needing something from us. But then, look at the other side. That's the internal noise, the worries, the endless to-do lists, that little voice of self-criticism. That's the chatter inside our own heads, and honestly, that's usually the hardest noise to get away from.
You know, this isn't a new problem. The philosopher Blaise Pascal said this centuries ago, and it's so sharp, it kind of stings. He basically argued that our biggest issue is that we just can't handle being alone with ourselves. And wow, does that feel more true today than ever before?
Here is the perfect, modern-day version of that feeling. A software engineer said his mind feels like a browser with 100 tabs open. I mean, come on, who can't relate to that? It's the perfect picture of our minds being pulled in a million different directions at once.
All right, so we've named the enemy, the external and internal noise. Now for the good part. How do we actually fight back? Let's get super practical and open up our stillness toolkit. Inside are some simple but really powerful things you can literally start doing today.
First up, we've got something called breath prayer. It's an ancient practice, and it is so incredibly simple. All you do is you take a short, meaningful phrase, and you sync it up with your breathing. It turns something you do automatically, breathing, into a real moment of connection.
So here's a classic example. As you breathe in, you might silently say, Lord Jesus Christ. And as you breathe out, have mercy on me. The best part about this is you can do it anywhere, anytime. Stuck in traffic, waiting in line, no one even has to know you're doing it.
Okay, our next tool is called Mindful Transitions. Now this one is absolutely brilliant if you're a busy person, because it doesn't require any extra time in your schedule. Instead, you use those little in-between moments. You know, the walk from your car to the office, the pause before you jump on a Zoom call.
So what does that actually look like? Well, it could be as simple as taking 3 deep breaths before you open your email, or just pausing for 1 second at a doorway before you walk into a meeting. These tiny little pauses are like hitting a reset button for your soul throughout the day.
Now, let's talk about a big roadblock for a lot of us, guilt. In our culture, doing nothing feels wrong, like we're being lazy. Take Tom, an executive. He said he felt this pressure all the time. He was checking emails from the second he woke up to the second he fell asleep.
But here's the kicker. When Tom started swapping some of that screen time for just a few moments of quiet, he found out something amazing. That stillness wasn't making him less productive, it was making him more productive. He was more focused, he made better decisions, he was just plain better at his job.
And that brings us to the payoff. What actually happens when you start doing this? What are the real rewards, the fruits of making space for silence?
Well, the benefits are huge, and they all kind of connect to each other. It starts inside, with more peace and less anxiety. That naturally makes you more patient and compassionate with other people. But what's really cool is how that inner calm creates better outer results, like a boost in creativity and focus. Let's just grab that last one, creativity. An artist named Maria talked about how she used to really struggle, trying to force her ideas. But once she started her stillness practice, she said it was like creativity just started bubbling up on its own, like she'd tapped into this hidden wellspring she never knew was there.
As we start to wrap this up, this gorgeous line from the poet T.S. Eliot just says it all. Life is always going to be a turning world. It's going to be chaotic. Our goal isn't to stop the world from turning, it's to find that still point right in the center of it all.
So, I want to leave you with one simple question. This isn't about some huge dramatic change. It's about one small step. Maybe it's just taking 3 deep breaths before your next task, or doing one breath prayer in the car. What's one tiny thing you can do today to find just a little more stillness in your life?